co-host is Marilyn Pierre, who ran for circuit court judge in Montgomery County in Maryland. And then our lovely co-host is Judge Claudia Barber. We have a jam-packed show for you today, but I wanted to get you guys to let you know that our show is always about information, understanding, and action. Hopefully you can hear something and see something, or if you're watching or listening to it and you share it, you like it, whatever you do, but to do something after you get the information, because there's so many lives involved in community work. So with that being said, we actually have so many things going on. We have Joe Biden's in Maryland. Right? He's in Baltimore today. He's causing a whole muck up with traffic. It's ridiculous, right? And then we have some legislation that's being passed in Maryland, and then we had some other judicial issues across the Supreme Court that's throughout the land, and then we have an issue that's going on in Haiti. And then we also have Robin Christensen, who's running for City Council in Baltimore in District 6. So we want to get right into it. And there's, when lives are on the line, and here's the thing why we do the show. It's always about trying to get some understanding about what's going on. But when lives are on the line and no one's doing anything, or very few people are doing something, then when you reach out to them, they give you the cold shoulder. That bothers me in every account, whether it be an institution, whether it be a corporation, whether it be people you knock on the door. If we don't do this as a then so many things fail, and only the few seem like they rise above, and it's the same few, continuously the same few. Marilyn, you want to jump in here before we get to our guests and things like that?
Well, like you said, Dr. Dyer, there is just so many things going around. It is unbelievable. But one thing that I wanted to discuss was what is being proposed by the Biden administration for the Haitians. As everyone knows, I'm a Haitian, by descent, and I love I just absolutely love my country of birth, as well as I love my adopted country, this country. And so to see them almost always pitted against each other, or at least it looks like the U.S. is always trying to do something to Haiti, that's really upsetting to me, because first of all, I always like to remind people, especially those who say, you're in America, speak English. I always like to remind them that, no, you would not be speaking English if it weren't for the Haitians, because what Napoleon wanted to do was to use Haiti as a base to then go into the United States and conquer the rest of the United States, because Britain was so far away that Britain would not have been able to recover by then. So then, because of the Haitians and because of other things that the Haitians have done, America is what it is today. And also because of the Haitians getting their independence so early, people who were enslaving people in the United States then learned that, oh, you mean really? Black people could rule themselves? Black people could win their own independence without the help of white people? And I use Black people and white people because that's what we are. Those are the terms that we have been using, as limited as it is. That's what we use. And so for the United States to now say, and Canada nowadays seem to be playing a bigger role with Trudeau wanting to put in his 2 cents. Well, so for the United States to say that we're going to put the Haitians in Guantanamo Bay, a base that that has so many issues with it, and why the Haitians? Why not everybody else? Why do we have to be, put in a certain place because we are who we are? It just seems, so unfair. So I could talk about that all day long, but that's what seem to.
One of the things, Marilyn, you kind of said is that I think people don't know the history. And people keep thinking about it's an our history or their history or my history. It's the history. When you include the, it's an encompassing of all of who we are. Now, if you want to segregate or separate things between certain class of people and its history, well, then you're missing the history. And that's where I have a problem with a lot of things, even educational. It's not a history. It should be the history, which encompasses so many things. So let's get right to Teresa, and then we're gonna get to Robin later. Teresa, please introduce yourself. And did you freeze, Teresa? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I have been having problems with my Zoom, and that's why it looks like I'm frozen.
Okay, so we love you. We know who you are. We see your face, but go ahead.
Yeah, I did need a share screen because I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation to go along with my poetry, but I'm not sure how this is going to work since I look like I'm frozen. I don't know how I've gotten this problem, but it's I'm not sure if that'll work because I'm seeing a blue circle that's going around, but I can still share some of my poetry in the interest of.
Well, can I give you a brief introduction before you do that? And maybe in the meantime, you could be working on what you're working on. Okay.
Go ahead. She just popped off. I think something.
Oh, she just popped off. Oh, okay.
Well, since the FBI always listens
Robin
to us.
is here. Should we talk to Robin instead?
Go ahead. So Robin's running for city council. But go ahead, Robin. Let people know what's going on in your world, who you are, and what you're going to do. You're on mute, girl.
Got you. I'm Robin Christian. I am a mother of 2 adult children. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 2 programs, one in Baltimore City Public Schools, middle school, elementary, and one in high school. I am also a retired law enforcement and the 2024 candidate for Baltimore City Council's 6th District.
Well, let people know what you're doing. Like today, you just had a meeting with in COP. Yeah. And because there's so many things that we know that has issues in Baltimore, but this is probably an issue that goes across the United States when we look for people. So talk about what happened at Compton and tell them about the first meeting.
So I've reached out to Compton, and it's been hard to communicate, get a meeting, find out who's who, try to get it.
Sorry, Robin. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we like to start at the beginning because not everybody knows what we're talking about sometimes. Right. So when you say Coppin, we know what you're talking about, but what are you talking about?
Yeah, but so some people don't know it's actually a university who don't live in Maryland.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. So Coppin State University is an HBCU here in Baltimore City. It sits in West Baltimore off of North Avenue, right above historic Sandtown. And my 6th district is located in Northwest Baltimore. And I reached out to them to try to get a relationship with their early childhood development program and their social work program. The students in the middle school, elementary, middle, and high schools in my district, we're trying to get tutors for them. The students in the early childhood development program at Coppin State University, they have to have field hours to graduate. So I was trying to get a meeting to get those students, 1, so they can get their field hours, and 2, so our students can get tutors to assist them with reading, math, and science. It has been a task trying to even nail down who even runs the department. So today I got off the phone and I just went to the building. And going to the building actually solved the problem. I had an opportunity to meet the lady in charge of student affairs. She and I had a long conversation, and she started calling people into the room. once she did that, then I ended up with 3 or 4 people from different departments in the room, and we all agreed that this was a problem. They're willing to help. Early childhood development has an issue with trying to help the high school, but my fight with them is no matter if their body is sitting in a classroom in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, they're not reading on those levels. So we still need to take them back to fundamentals in elementary and middle school. After we debated over that for a while, they're going to think about it.
Well, the numbers suggest it. The data is there across the state of Maryland where a lot of kids are reading or not reading on level. They're in Montgomery County. We have 26 counties. And the major counties that we're talking about, PG, Montgomery, Anne Arundel, Baltimore County, these kids are reading 3 grades and less than where they are sitting. It is tremendously a disgrace.
And it's not.
We need to talk about the importance of that, because all the research shows that if you're not reading by the time you're in 3rd grade, you have a higher chance of ending up in the prison system than not. And if you're not reading on the level that you're supposed to be reading, the same thing also could happen, because then you become a troublemaker because the teacher doesn't understand why you're not doing your work and misbehaving. And you're misbehaving sometimes, or at least some kids misbehave because they're ashamed of their lack of inability to read, and they want to hide that with jokes or with acting out or something of that sort. So that's why this is so important.
It is very important. And Baltimore City College, I had a conversation with them last month we're working on getting a GED in one of the high schools in my area, and they're a adult learning program at Baltimore City Community College, and they don't want to take the 16-year-olds because they start at 18-year-olds. So my debate with them is, you're not going to be on the campus of Baltimore City Community College. You're going to be in a high school. So while we're talking about 18-year-olds at a high school, we need to be talking about reaching the 16-year-olds who are out of school in the community with nothing to do. So it just disturbs me that all of these institutions are so stuck in these ways and not willing to bend. They don't want to think outside the box. And it's like, do you really even care? Our children are failing. I don't care if you're in a 10th grade. You're not reading in a 10th grade level. So why not reach back and give them those fundamentals that they need so they can be successful? It's not hard. This is not rocket science.
Do you think this is the same reason why institutions, but we'll complain about the murder rate in your district. We'll complain about the murder rate in Baltimore. We'll complain about these kids who are shooting each other, but then these institutions who could help and have the ability to help. That's the difference. The ability to help, because they have things already in place that they could just help just a little, and they're not willing to help. That's what confuses me.
Well, it's not even help. Yeah. And I would dare say that it's not even helping. It's them actually doing the job that they're getting paid for. So it's not as if we're saying, hand in hand, could you please help us do this? These people are getting paid for this. And the cynic in me say that, maybe that's their goal, because if we could determine how many jails we need to build based on 3rd grade reading levels, then some people might want to have jails built and have a certain number of people imprisoned, and we could go into that. But I prefer to talk about what it is that, actually, we have Zanita with a question. So, Zanita, go ahead.
Well, it's more of a comment. It's ironic because I have a son who's now 29 on the autism spectrum. And because he could read, he was not diagnosed till he was almost 19 years old. Mm-hmm. And it caused so many problems just because he could read. But I kept saying, I homeschooled him till the 3rd grade. So, yeah, it's ironic that being able to read threw off kind of his life in a way, because they expected, he's not supposed to know how to read.
Right. They put him in a box.
Yeah.
So reading is so unbelievably important nowadays, because everything that we do is by written communication. Almost, you have to be able to send a text, read and send an email. Just or go to a website. I mean, all kinds of things. Or even go to someplace to download an app. You have to be able to read all these things in order to do those. So
Robin, I think for those of the people who are listening across the United States and whoever listens to her, Compton State sits in a predominantly black neighborhood, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. The high schools and the schools you're trying to get help and tutoring is predominantly black children. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
So, but then you're saying Compton State is having a difficult time sending or willing to send tutors and mentors to a school that will help predominantly African American or melanin kids.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Marylin, I'm more than a cynic. I'm kind of confused, because if we're trying to get kids out of the prison pipeline, wouldn't a HBCU devote its passion to a community that it sits in? We're not talking about them doing it in Jersey, right? We're not talking about them doing it in D.C. We're talking about the neighborhood they sit in. Mm-hmm. That's it. 5 blocks, 6 blocks. Right. Something seems off.
Robin, have you been able to figure out what is going on and why you're getting such pushback?
Yeah, I have. There are so much bureaucracy that sits in the middle of every decision that has to be made. And none of these decisions are made with the youth in mind. It's all about dollars and cents or what somebody feels that should happen. Nobody's getting out and actually coming to the schools to find out what's going on. Nobody's taking the time to actually care. I mean, it's not hard to go to the schools and talk to the principals, talk to the staff, talk to the community outreach, because that's who I deal with, community outreach. They are awesome, and they are willing. They are open. They have the open door policy. You can come and see for yourself what's going on and talk to them. They'll let you see numbers, whatever you need to make this work. But that's not what's happening.
Any chance that you could go around the system, meaning that you could go to the parents directly and say, okay, I have this program and this is what we do? Because I'm thinking of programs like George B. Thomas's Saturday School.
Yeah.
Something of that sort.
So is the question go to the parents of the students at the school?
Yes.
Okay. So
spill it.
That's an issue within itself. So we have to also take into consideration that a lot of our youth are parents of their homes. So I'm not able to go to the house of a youth who is the parent and ask their parent to come in and help us read when they're on drugs, when they're not present, when the kid doesn't even respect the parent enough to even include them in the conversation. That's not possible. That's not the Baltimore way. That's why we're in a crisis. That's why the situations are so messed up. That's why we have squeegee boys. We have so many issues with our youth that stem so far back that it's time for us to... These kids need forgiveness. Their parents need forgiveness. Their parents before them need forgiveness. We're going so back far into slavery for forgiveness that these kids are being left behind and nobody cares at all. So my small group and the people that we pull along, we fight this fight and we go into the schools. I'll talk to some of the parents who will listen. Even the ones on drugs, I don't care what it is, because my father was a heroin addict. So I know what that looks like in the household. But that does not have to be the story. And that's what I tell them all the time. No matter what's going on with your parents, what's going on in your household, you are going to have to make this decision for your life. And you're going to have to forgive your parents for whatever shortcomings that you feel that they have, that they are failing you in. We got to ask our kids to do something different. And the problem is they're being the parents. They're not being children. So it's too far removed from that. We are so far removed from that now. We got to go into. We have lost the war. We have lost the battle. We cannot lose the war, and we are well on our way of losing this war.
So, when you get into city council, how are you going to help from that end when it's difficult to help from this end? So it's like there's two ends of a worm here, and the city council's dealing with some budget issues, and people are trying to get indicted, and mismanagement of money in Baltimore, and then you just have a neighborhood issue. You have a family issue. It is such a far removed from city than it is from the family.
And it's been going on too long. So I can tell you from what I do right here in my little box of 6th District, where the schools that I'm a part of, we do financial literacy. We do girl talk. We got a men group that come in and talk to the boys. We can see the difference in the schools that we operate in, that doing this from district, well, it's not even district, from community to community, it can make a difference. It has to be done in each home. Each house has to be responsible for their own mishaps, their own journeys, but they need the resources to be able to do that. Our youth have no hopes or they have no desire even thinking they're going to live to 21. 21 is living that long. They're like, I don't even know what I would do if I lived past 21 years old. So when you're talking to somebody who has no hope in the future, they have to see other things in our community. Right above me in Park Heights, they have more abandoned homes than they have homes lived in. So if you're asking somebody to come out of their house and look at that every day, that affects their mindset. So there's so many little things in 6th District that needs to be addressed. 6th District is economically and socially diverse. We got Roland Park, who has $1 million homes. We have Park Heights, who they are torn down to the slums. And then we go down to Wabash, and they're living in a black community that's living well. So we're so diverse that if we pulled everybody together, which we know that we can, because I've had conversations with these leaders, that it can work. It's just got to work together, and each household has to take responsibility. We got to actually take politics out of this thing. I grew up in the city. We didn't look for politicians to do nothing for us, and we turned out quite well. So it can be done, but it's going to take for the community to take it back, not wait on anybody to get it done, including me.
Well, Marylin, I think you ought to just ask the question. Because the question is, do you think the school board would be a better position for you than city council?
For me?
Yeah.
And we're just asking. We're not suggesting or anything else. Just and why not? Okay, why not?
Because I need to go to find out where the money is. Mm-hmm. I need to find out where's it been, where's it going, why hasn't it gotten to us? I've been in this neighborhood 12 years, and it's going down, down, down. Nothing has changed. Not a building, not a house, not anything. So where's the money?
Oh, you mean in terms of where the resources that are coming into the community? Okay, see that. Thank you very much. Now I'm glad that Paul asked a question for me, because I understand better. Because if you know where the resources are, right, then or where maybe the pipeline is not going as fluid as it can, then you could get those resources and put it into the community. Because Baltimore is a high poverty area. And unfortunately, we know what happens.
Not all of Baltimore is poverty.
Oh, yes, not all. Yes, you're right. Not all of Baltimore, but certain pockets of Baltimore are known for that. And we know what happens when resources are taken out of the community. And everything that they expect to happen. And sometimes that's exactly why resources are taken out. So that way they can point to those same areas and say, look at the way they are. They don't need to be saved. And right. Other people are more than happy to say, yeah, they don't need to be saved, not knowing that those resources are taken from that area and put someplace else.
Well, right. Robert, we can talk about this all day, but Teresa's back on. Teresa, are you there?
Oh, Teresa can't do it. Yeah, we're going to have Teresa next week because she's having issues with her. Well, she's having issues with Zoom, and so if you don't mind, do you mind?
No. Okay, so when you find out there's corruption, so talk about Baltimore District 6. It's the way they redistrict it and how they have part of Howard County. If you can explain how vast that is to where it goes into Baltimore.
So the district and the way the District 6 is broken up is a mystery, because District 6 is located in Northwest Baltimore. So that's Liberty Heights and Garrison. Well, it actually starts down at Hilton. Goes to Hilton, to Liberty Heights, to Forest Park, which is El Dorado. It goes all the way back to Roland Park. Roland Park becomes 6th District, which crosses over Falls Road. It is so crazy how this district is set up. That is because Roland Park actually is in East Baltimore. So I don't know how they even did that and then put in a portion of Howard County.
Interesting.
What?
Another county. Well, I've never heard of that before.
At a line. So there's a portion of Baltimore City, and when you get to the line, it goes into Howard County. And I'm like, well, how do we get this part in here? So I don't know. That's part of what we're doing, driving around these districts to find out where's this line. Why is this line moved around where it is? And I'm like, is this about money? Numbers? I mean, why do we do this? How do we get here? So that's the answer that we're looking to the question we're looking to get answers to, because it doesn't add up.
No.
So, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Dr. Dyer.
No, go ahead.
I want to talk a little bit about your law enforcement background, because, law enforcement in Baltimore has its history. And as a member of the council in Baltimore, that's something that you are going to have to address as well. Do you want to tell us your positions on that?
Oh, yeah. So my law enforcement, so I started 7 years in Virginia Beach. With Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office. I left Virginia Beach and I moved to Baltimore. I started with Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, and that's where I retired from. But I was an investigator. I was only in the jail maybe 6 months before I retired. So my time as law enforcement is not on the streets of Baltimore. Law enforcement everywhere has an issue. It's not just Baltimore. We just talk about Baltimore because we are Maryland. But I worked in Virginia Beach. I saw a lot of corruption. I was maybe one of 6 blacks. You're going to dealt with a lot of racism. It's just a part of the game. When it comes to corrections, when it comes to law enforcement, I mean, no matter what avenue you're in, you're going to have to hold your own and do what you're supposed to do. We know right from wrong. Everybody, we know the book. And with what you don't know, your gut tells you that you shouldn't be doing.
And how does it feel to know that you're a person in blue, and yet other people who are in blue see you as a Black person? Because sometimes sometimes it's really disturbing how it is that we put ourselves in an environment thinking that, whatever color we are is not going to make a difference. Yet the people who are in that environment look at us and only see color, or mostly see color.
And they're going to always see color. Mm. So even if you're in Baltimore, if I was in Virginia, when I was in uniform in Virginia, the community, especially the white community, they treated me differently. If I was out of uniform in that same community, they treated me like I was Black. And then once they realized, this is the officer that responded to my house, then they treated me another way. So you're going to always be treated differently in that uniform. And if you are a person who does not get involved in the negativity of the uniform, whether you're Black in a Black environment or a white environment, you're going to always be looked at a certain way. That's just part of the game.
So, Robin, I want you to clear up something. I'm sharing my screen. Everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so this is 6th District, correct? Right? This is how big it is.
Well, all we see is something that says Zoom.
Yeah.
Let's see. We don't see. Hold on. Can you see the map now?
Nope. I see the doggy.
Oh, we see Addie. Oh.
Hold on. Let me get back to, and I'll share. Let's see.
Oh, while you're doing that, we see that we have Judge Barber with us. Hello, hey. Judge Barber. How are you?
Hello.
So this is 6th District. Can you see the map now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to explain? So my hand is in the middle of the 6, right? Mm-hmm. So explain to us how this is Howard County over here, correct?
Yes.
And this is Northwest Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the money's at. Does it? So this line right here, does that reach into Howard County, or is it where this line was broken?
Where this line was broken.
It's fascinating because this is where a lot of money's at, and over here.
But money is there. The money is in Roland Park.
And Roland Park is here, right?
But it looks like District 7 is also broken into Howard County. Isn't that Congressman Kwesi Mfume's district?
Yes.
He's in my district. He's in 6.
He's 6? Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought he was 7, but I got that wrong.
No, I'm sorry. Are you running for council or Congress?
Council.
Okay, thank you. I'm totally off. When you said Kwesi Mfume, I thought about Congress.
So tell us about the district. Talk us through what's going on in this huge issue here, because it's so diverse, like you said.
It is. And the words are missing. But let me see if I can pull it up, because I can't see the wording on here of the communities.
Because we know, like down in here where this park is, people are making less than $16,000 a year.
Which park is that you're pointing to?
That is I have to look at my other map.
Okay, because it's blurry on here.
But that's the park that we were near when we were doing the outreach.
Oh, okay, on Garrison Boulevard.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Garrison Boulevard is Forest Park, Dorchester, Ashburton, Mondawmin. They all fall in that community. when you get closer to the Park Heights line, the median housing income gets really low. 18,000 is what you're looking at in that area. When you start coming down towards Forest Park and Dorchester, you're running closer to, and it's so crazy because it's down the street, 30,000 in those communities. And that park is a high prostitution area in that community. So the health department, they do random sweeps where they come through and do testing and condoms and try to keep track of the ladies for STDs. When you go towards Ashburton, on that end, that is a big African American community. And that community is what we call well-to-do. That has a lot of politicians in that community. It's a lot of money in that community. And we don't have a big problem with crime or problems reported for the Ashburton community. But when you swing back up across the tracks to Park Heights, starting at Ricestown Road, coming across Wabash, you enter into Park Heights Terrace, all the communities straight through there until you get to Green Spring. The median income for those communities, that's running 10 to 14,000.
What I'm going to have to do is get a better map. But basically what you're saying is those who have not will never have not, and those who do will always do because they can.
And that's the way it's set up in this district. Park Heights is one of the areas where the racetrack sits. And Pimlico Racetrack and that money is a big conversation for that community. On the opposite side of the racetrack is the Jewish community. And a lot of the money is being funneled over through there. The upkeep now, so now they're going to redo the racetrack. But that area is the slums. It is terrible in that area. It's crime-ridden. The houses are vacant, ran down. Some of those houses are ran down, and people are living in them. So, I mean, that's a big concern for 6th District. I was in that district today at Langston Hughes Community Center. There is a after-school program that's ran on every Wednesday called Cody's Cave. Cody's Cave was started by Cody's mother. Cody was murdered right there in Park Heights. His mother started this after-school program just to give the youth somewhere to go after school to hang out, have some food. She has PlayStation games. She has activities. She has some of what they call OGs in the neighborhood come talk to the kids. So, I mean, she's trying to do her part to try to help to make things better. But that area is so depressing to live in every day. Mr. Needham.
Yeah, it's ironic that the Park Heights Strut, have you heard of it? The dance has gone viral. You got people all over the world now doing this dance.
Yes.
Nobody's talked about what's going on in the neighborhood and connection, because that's a great way to bring attention to that.
Yeah. Yep. And that young man, he's been living in that area a long time. He's part of that community. He's been living there since he was a little boy. And that is a big dance, but nobody's coming in to still help these kids. I'm glad to see that, they have something positive coming out of that community with the dance, and the kids in the community are always doing the Park Heights Strut. But unfortunately, that's the beginning and the end.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Somebody in the NFL did it. Let's.
Yeah. Again, they always taking our stuff and making it to something big. We still don't reap any benefits off of it.
So that was part of our conversation here we had with Robin Christensen, who's running for District 6 and City Council in Baltimore. There are so many issues. We are going to continue to talk about this issue and continue to talk to Robin and follow her as she does her campaign. But more importantly, get involved in your community. If you heard what Robin was talking about, we got to serve everything. We got to forgive what we thought was so wrong and so disastrous. But if we don't have forgiveness in our heart, then we won't ever see about helping. And it's not helping someone you think that needs help. How about just help anyway? We need you. We need you in your community. We need you in the other community. We need you in our community. However how you want to use those words, we need you. So take the time, put a part, do a part. Be not just a player in this mere play of fools, but be a participant that we can see uprising and a shine. Thank you for listening to You Be the Judge. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer, and I will see you again next week, sooner than later.